I want the top. All my people right there in the back of the spot, I need the top.
Hey guys, I'm Paul Davis. Welcome to the PD podcast, where we will embark on a transformation journey through personal development. Join me, a coach, a gym owner, and a proud new father, as we explore the incredible power of self-development in a captivating and inspiring series of conversations. Get ready to unlock your potential and embark on growth during our new podcast. All right, so we will welcome Dan Mazzola and Asha Coulthard, WBFF Pros, getting ready for your current upcoming Worlds Comp. Here in Townsville, you've flown up yesterday, you've spent the last 24 hours up here. Tell us what you think of the place. And what's your first take on Townsville?
It's very peaceful.
Peaceful.
It is quiet, yeah.
Quiet.
Unfortunately, we brought the bad weather up here with us, and it's been pouring down for 2 days, which is unheard of, I think.
Unseasonally, yeah.
But no, it's a beautiful spot. It actually reminds me, I was saying this morning, we were looking out the hotel window, reminds me of dinner out Fiji.
Yeah, right. We'll just give a quick shout out. Which hotel are you guys staying at?
The Ville.
The Ville.
It's beautiful.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's beautiful, it is. All right, so quickly, we're just going to ask you guys about 5 questions today. We'll delve into each question a little bit more as we go. But what got you guys into bodybuilding? And why WBFF over the other federations?
Yeah.
I guess the biggest thing was I was a competitive gymnast for nearly 9 years. I kind of had that athlete background as a kid.
Right.
And then I kind of, I guess, lost my ways a little bit post finishing gymnastics, and kind of lost myself a bit. And I ended up moving states. So I grew up in Hot Springs in the Northern Territory, and I ended up moving myself to South Australia, away from my family, and I didn't really have anything. So I decided I would do like this modelling event, just like at your local pubs.
Yep. Which I feel like probably a lot of bodybuilders started off with, one way or another.
Actually, yeah. There was a couple of guys that or girls that competed that were doing it, and they're like, you need to do this. When I met this coach for the first time, and I fell in love. I walked out that door and signed up straight away. 4 weeks later, I was on my first stage back in 2012, so I did a 4-week prep.
Fantastic.
Won my first show.
And won your first show, wow.
And then went on to the following show the following weekend and won that. So
wow.
I was pretty much hooked.
Yep.
Yeah. The following year I did like 7 shows. The year after that I did like 12. And I just haven't stopped.
I feel like for anybody that competes and knows bodybuilding, that amount of shows in one season is ridiculous. Like that is so much like mental focus, along with obviously the physical side of things as well. That's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Obviously, no wonder why you have what it takes to become a 3-time world champion, and hopefully 4th upcoming soon.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Dan, what about you, man? What about
So I'm a Kiwi boy, so like most young Kiwi men, grew up playing rugby union. I was playing at a reasonably high level, always been athletic, on the verge of playing professionally, and suffered multiple injuries back to back, which kind of forced me out of the game. And I solely relied on my natural ability playing sports. I was never a trainer. I never liked going to practice, resented it all. I just wanted to turn up on the day and just rely on my ability. But then after being forced out of sports, I was still competitive, looking for something. I was still going to the gym because it was something that I could still do comfortably, building a bit of muscle. And then for years, a lot of people around me saying, look, you should do a bodybuilding contest, you've got a great shape. And after years of deliberation, I moved back from Australia back to New Zealand. I had a bit more time on my hands, so I decided, you know what, I'll give it a crack. And it's the first time I'd ever committed to something, like 100%, like full diet, everything, because I neglected it and everything else, and it was always a resentment, like what could have I done had I given the 100% that whole time. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it 100% to this and just see what happens. And it was not like I had any idea where it would go. It was just like, it's a bucket list thing, I'm just going to do this one show.
Yep.
Did my first IFBB show in men's physique, cleaned up, I won the 3 classes, overalls, everything. And then from there proceeded to do about 20 shows in IFBB all over the world. Qualified for my pro status in IFBB. But it didn't align with me morally, what was happening at the time in the sport. And I kind of just lost my passion for it. I sat out for a year, was undecided whether I would compete again. But I still had that competitive drive, and I was at the pinnacle within IFBB, so I knew I could do better. Saw WBFF, went and watched the show, I was blown away, and then did my first WBFF show, turned pro. And the rest is history really. Now I've done about almost 10 shows with WBFF, and just absolutely loving it. It's just a different vibe, yeah.
Awesome. Heard that a lot about the different federations. Obviously, for people out there, it's very hard to understand what is different between, ICN, NABA, IFBB, Pro League, and then you've got WBFF as well. In your words, for someone that's looking to get into bodybuilding, what would you say for those that are wondering which federation is for them and which category? How would you best describe that for somebody to choose?
I think it depends on your goals, what the long-term goal is.
Absolutely.
Obviously, if you're a hardcore bodybuilder, a bigger guy or woman with a lot of muscularity, you're probably going to be looking at WBFF or IFBB. Obviously, smaller first-time competitors, you want to be in those novice classes. That's where like ICN and are really good starting points.
ICN, A, B.
Yeah, and it also budget's a factor. Shows vary in costs. Depends where you can travel to. If you want to do something a local show, you need to find something that's local.
Good points.
I think your first show, you really want to eliminate as much stress as possible, make it the easiest for yourself. And once you do it, then you really decide whether most people, they'll do their first show and they'll never do one again, or they get hooked.
Yeah.
So.
And you guys got hooked.
Yeah.
You're hooked. So upcoming, you're currently prepping for the Worlds. How long away is that, and what's in store for the rest of 2023?
We're 6 weeks out now, well, just under 6 weeks out now, so we head to LA in 4 weeks, finish our prep in America, which will be amazing.
Yeah.
Hopefully bring the titles home, which would be nice.
Yep.
Then we're heading to Bali, I guess, for the
Enjoy a bit of downtime.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Post-comp, and then obviously we've got the shows coming up at the end of the year. After WBFF, got the November show, which will be pretty much full steam ahead, and then a couple of America shows.
Fantastic, right. Now, being obviously at the top of a category in a whole federation for the last few years, being obviously the world title holder, you got a lot of people snapping at your heels. How do you, or who do you, and what do you draw your motivation from? So who do you look to aspire to be like if you're already at the pinnacle at the top of the
look, it's been hard, I guess, the last couple of years in particular. My third world title was a hard one to try and find motivation to do. Obviously post-COVID, it was more just the enjoyment of wanting to get back up on stage again. But still I'd struggled to aspire to be someone because I've always just wanted to beat myself or be the best. So I'm also draw my motivation from my loved ones, I guess. My nana passed before my last world show last year, so I really kind of gave that show to her, and obviously she loved watching me, and
That's beautiful. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Oh, condolences.
So this year is, I guess, my mum.
Yeah.
My mum's coming to watch me for the first time since I won my pro card.
So it's something really a lot deeper for you than that,
it
I guess,
is.
aesthetic appearance of anybody else. You drive it from somewhere a lot deeper.
Very personal.
And again, that's probably why you've done so well in this sport. For those that are listening and probably wanting to progress to become something, it's probably a really good way to try and drive that motivation from within.
Well, a long time, especially when I was competing in IFBB, my auntie passed away from breast cancer. And pretty much the last conversation I had with her was, don't give up, Asha. You're doing something that I could never do. She's like, just, keep going. Doesn't matter how hard it is, just keep going. So there'd be so many times I'd be on the treadmill and I'd think about my auntie, and she's actually in my office on my wall. I see it every single day, so is my nana. The amount of times I was on the treadmill crying, and I would just keep telling myself that I was doing something that she couldn't do and ever do, and that she was so proud of me. And that literally drove me through everything.
Wow.
It's deep.
Yeah, that is, and really special as well by the
is.
sounds of it. That's really nice. How about you, Dan? Good luck backing that one up.
Yeah, mine's not as deep as that. Mine's probably, I'm a few steps back from Asha. Like I'm currently ranked 3rd in the world. So for
Still,
me,
they're amazing achievement.
Yeah.
Number 1 and number 3 in the world. I feel privileged to have you guys sitting in the office. It's awesome.
So I'm chasing that.
Yeah.
So I guess the motivation's different there. I want to be the best. But for me, it's always been better than I was. Like just trying to reach my very best. And the amount of shows you do, sometimes, you fall short or you make mistakes and you always look back and you think, God, I wish I could have done this, I could have done that. So I guess it's just trying to reach that perfect prep that you can be really 100% satisfied. It's really hard to be completely satisfied with it. So you kind of keep chasing that. You just want to nail it perfectly, and then you don't care about the result necessarily. But as long as you did it like 100%, and I know if I can get all my ducks in a line in a row and hit it perfectly, I can be world champion. So for me, it's just trying to reach that goal for myself. Just being my personal best. It's not necessarily. I don't find motivation looking at other competitors or anything like that. It's all internal. I don't get motivated by other people. Looking at other people's successes, I get motivated by, but not necessarily within the bodybuilding world.
More inspired by their work ethic.
Work ethic, 100%.
Yeah.
I always know I can work harder. So for me, it's just trying to work as hard as I possibly can and be satisfied with that and not have regrets. Because like I said earlier, like the regrets of the effort I didn't put in when I was younger, it's like you've got a lifetime to like give it your best. So put it all on the line.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome. Leading on from that, what do you both find individually the hardest thing with prepping? I mean, you've done it so many times now over the years. Is there a constant one thing that you, every time it rolls around, that you have issues with, or is it different every time, or what do you find difficult, if anything?
I think it's different every single time, depending on life circumstances more than anything. I think probably the biggest balance the last couple of years is just finding balance between work and prep. Obviously, you want to put 100% into everything that you do, and to also, how hard prep is to, put 100% into that and try and divide your attention up to everything else. That's probably the hardest thing that I face with prep. I know I could be so much better if I was just a pro athlete and that's all I did every single day. But, when you're trying to run a successful business, which I love and I wouldn't have it any other way, it's hard to find this balance between everything and give everything 100%.
I think for people listening, you touched on it yesterday when you did a seminar for my staff, which was absolutely fantastic. Thank you guys very much for doing that and talking to my staff and my members. But you did say, obviously, in bodybuilding, there isn't a massive financial gain for your successes. And I mean, for those listening at home, think 3-time world champion. I mean, you compare that to other sports and they've got their tickets made, it's going to be easy for them. But in WBFF and a lot of other federations in bodybuilding, unfortunately, that financial support isn't there. And then all these outlays that you've got with getting to those competitions and all that sort of stuff. I mean, from this side of the table, having you guys here, you guys are pro athletes. So hearing you talk about yourself and wanting to be that pro athlete that can commit obviously 100% of her time to that, it's really probably a bit of a shock for a lot of people to understand that and hear that you really do juggle being a business owner and dealing with everything that comes with a coach, which is such a demanding career, people always at you, and then obviously both of you achieving these incredible results as well. So it's pretty amazing. You guys have done well. All right, finally, last question, one more if you guys don't mind. What is the best advice you can give to one of our listeners or any of our listeners looking to make big changes in their life? What do you think? All your time in the fitness industry, working with people, if you had to find one sort of thing that you often found as a barrier for people to overcome, where should they start?
I think the biggest thing is just trying to find consistency in your life. Like, it's easy to make commitments to things and get short-term gain out of it, but people look at us and they think, God, I want to look like that. I'll train for a couple of years, and I'll look like Dan. It's like, and they're like, how long have you been training? I'm like, mate, I've been doing this training for 20 years, every day in the gym, like having, 52 weeks in a year, and then having like 1 or 2 days off every week, and that's been consistent for 20 years. So it takes consistency over a long period of time, trying to make it a part of your life, so it's every single day and it's something that you enjoy to do. Sure, it's hard at the very start, but when you become consistent with it and you start seeing results, then it starts to become enjoyable, and then you start to understand how your body responds to things. I think people expect immediate results. They expect an overnight success. They want everything now. You know, in the world we live in now, everything's accessible on our phone or wherever we are. But to get health changes, it takes a lot longer than that. So just having patience and consistency is the biggest thing, I think.
Well, it's the biggest and it's the hardest.
It's the hardest thing, yeah.
Absolutely.
Put together and challenge yourself.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, guys. Well, again, thank you very much for being on the podcast. And obviously, again, thanks so much for coming up to Townsville, sharing your knowledge, sharing your experience, and sharing the WBFF love as well.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. It's been a blast.
Do it again. Sweet as.